Good morning and welcome to Dungarvan. We've come to Dungarvan for our first live show in nearly 8 or 9 weeks since the COVID crisis. We decided to keep the Dungarvan studio free in case we did have to close down the main studios in Ardkeen. Thankfully, it didn't happen, and want to say well done to everybody in WLR for making sure we kept the broadcast centre COVID free. So we're in Dungarvan here today and tomorrow. We're going to talk in a minute now to Councillor Mary Roach on the Munster Technological University announcement and the implications for the South East and WIT. We've also managed to get Carlow IT Student Union President Thomas Drury. Both will be talking about that. So if you want to text in, please, anything to do with this really important topic, 083 3333 975. You can call Audrey on 051 846 123. We're also going to hear about how things are in Dungarvan. I've been out and about with Jenny Beresford. We're going to talk to the Pride of the Deise organising committee. We're going to hear about the alleged Brazilian murder squad arrested in County Offaly yesterday. A bizarre story. We're going to be talking about older people and those that have been in nursing homes and care homes and how the situation has developed. We also have the Irish Hospice Foundation on, and we hear from the Granary in terms of how cafes are trying to maybe look at developing the public realms. Firstly, I'm going to go to Mary Roach. Good morning, Mary.
Hi, Damien.
Good to talk to you. And I think on the same line we may have on another line is Thomas Drury. Are you there, Thomas?
I am, Damien. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Hope you can hear the programme loud and clear. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, folks. We started with this topic yesterday by talking to Richard Hayes, who is the Vice President and involved with strategy at WIT. Mary Roach, you have been very much au fait with the entire, I suppose, South East University project for many, many years now. What is your view this morning as we look out on the beautiful sunshine and look out on a really good college, WIT, and we know there's another great college, Carlow IT Carlow, and yet we still don't have a university for the South East, and even more importantly, we don't even have an application submitted yet for a university for the South East?
Well, it's obviously very disappointing, Damien. As you say, look, I've been campaigning, as you know, on this for many years, 20 years in politics at this stage. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the development of a university is the most critical issue for the South East region. You know, we have the lowest jobs per capita, we have the lowest spend per capita, we have the lowest tax paid per capita, and all of that is really conditional on Waterford and the South East getting a university which will attract higher quality jobs, among other things, you know, targeting the IDA to increase what they're doing as well. But the delivery of a university is critical. So it's very disappointing to be in this situation, to be perfectly honest.
OK, and I'll come back to him. We'll go tease through a few things at the minute. Thomas Drury, thanks very much for talking to us. As I mentioned on Facebook and social media postings last night, I was in touch with senior members of Carlow IT Carlow, and they're basically refusing to talk to me this morning and talk to us. What they said was that, oh no, we can't be discussing sort of matters that are TU matters, technological university matters that are in discussion behind the scenes, which is bizarre to me, because the questions that I'd be asking are very, very simple. And I'm asking you this, Thomas. Do people in Carlow, in IT Carlow, want to join up with WIT to form a university?
Well, it's a very good question, and I have to respect the senior management here, but it is a good question. And of course, no, everyone's working very hard towards implementing the TU, especially here in IT Carlow. I know from behind the scenes, from what we're doing and what I can see IT Carlow doing, there's loads of work being done. Because it obviously brings benefits. It brings benefits to the South East, but it also brings benefits to the students that are here in WIT and in IT Carlow. I mean, it's a university degree. I mean, it creates so much more opportunities, and a TU status will increase funding, which will also bring in more opportunities for students. And that's everyone's aware of the benefits of a TU. So we are working very, very hard in getting that application submitted.
Okay. and I'll come back to you in a second, Mary, what exactly was said to me last night. Discussing it or coming on the programme would mean discussing the details of the application. That's prohibited under the TU Act. Like Richard Hayes from WIT was on this programme yesterday talking about it. So I don't know if they're going to arrest Richard this morning, but there's no problem discussing these matters. Like this is, I'm not being flippant about this. This is very, very important because, Thomas, this is about the future. As Mary said, this is about the future of young people in Ireland. And the mammies and daddies and parents and guardians and whatever that are going to be spending tens of thousands sending their children to other parts of the country where rents are very, very high. They could be having them and having them down here. Like, is the TUI, our teachers and lecturers within Carlow IT blocking this process?
Well, Damien, there's a lot of different factors. There is financial problems. There's issues with the TUI on different variables on this TU status. But as I said, as I have to reiterate again, everyone in IT Carlow are working so hard on submitting an application, getting everything we can working through. I mean, I know us in the Students' Union, we're working very close. We've joined up, we've created a student forum with senior management in WIT and in IT Carlow. And we meet with WIT Students' Union with both presidents and both registrars. And that happens very frequently, but they listen to us, and every question that we may have, they will answer. And we can all see, both Students' Union in WIT and in ITCSU, we can see the work that is being done, and we can see that they are aware that there is a need for a TU.
Yeah, I understand that, and everybody's in agreement with that. Mary Roach, the intricacies of all this, the implication is that basically Waterford is fully on board with this. 3.4 million, I understand, has been spent in the last few years in different guises on trying to get the two colleges to come together. I'm looking at a press release from 5 years ago talking about Michael Kelly's report. We know this has been going on for decades and the application still hasn't been submitted. Like, can we apportion blame here?
Well, look, Damien, I think you'll find that I'm probably, like a bit like Tom Murphy-Carstairs, out on my own on this one, because there is pretty much a political consensus across Waterford and across the southeast that the technological university is the correct solution and the direction of travel for everybody. I disagree with that at this stage, having agreed with it initially, but as you say, having watched the process now for over 5 years, particularly the TU process, the whole university process, obviously has gone on for much longer than that. But I have in recent years come to the conclusion that the technological university of itself is not going to solve the problems of the southeast. And if the people who are pushing it, get it through and it ends up not solving the problems of the southeast, well, on their heads be it. Because I do not see any way that the technological university can address the problems that are intrinsic. What it actually does is compound the inequality. In my opinion, at this stage, the whole technological university bill was set up with two things in mind. The first thing was, following on from the Hunt report, to rationalise the number of third-level institutions in Ireland, which it is being used to do. So you have Blanchardstown, Tala, all merging into DIT. You have IT Tralee now moving into Carlow or into Cork. And they're trying to now shoehorn Carlow in with Waterford. So that was the first aim of the technological university. And the second aim was to keep all of those, and Waterford in particular, out of the university pen. And in other words, to compound the inequality. And in fact, because we would have a name of a university, they would turn around and tell us, well, you got what you wanted, and there's no more to be had.
Well, that is
not what we need, and it's not what we want.
There's only one show in town, Mary. This is the problem.
There's not, Damien.
Well, are you saying then what's done in Dublin? They've already organised now a technological university in Dublin. Now, what's done in Cork IT and Tralee, and you were saying that you're going to basically try to rewrite the rules and say we want just a university for Waterford?
If that's what it takes, yes, but there's no rewriting of the rules.
But we could be a lot further down. It might even take longer.
No, absolutely not. Maynooth University was created at the stroke of a pen. Limerick University practically was created. Cork and IT, Munster Technological University is now being created at the stroke of a pen. the rules state that a technological university cannot be created legally without a merger. But as far as I'm concerned, in 2005, WIT made an application under the 1997 Universities Act, under Section 9 of that Act for university status, which was never assessed. That application is still there. That law and act is still there. And I think at this stage, if we had the political weight at the cabinet table, that could be applied to Waterford. Now, look, I know I'm an outlier on this, Damien. But as you say, I have watched it now for 20 years longer. I was a director of the Chamber of Commerce before that and involved. I was deputy president of the Students' Union in WIT, WRTC actually myself, back in the 80s. So I have been a long-time observer of this. You cannot take two people, as has been proved over the last 5 years, and push them into an unhappy, unwanted, forced marriage.
Thomas,
I can see where she's coming from, and I obviously respect that opinion. But what you have to remember is, if you were to just form a WIT into a university, then you're leaving IT Carlow behind, which is also a fantastic IoT. So the law and the legislation about the two mergers into a university, I think, is valid and stands and is appropriate, really. There are lots of benefits to it, and I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there.
Okay, well, just before both of you go, I've just got some information there that the Oireachtas members in Waterford, and they're going to look at the South East as well, are going to be writing this morning to the heads of both IT Carlow and WIT, seeking an urgent meeting to discuss what is happening on this. So there will be some political impetus on this, because there seems
Damien, we've had meetings.
I know, but there seems.
Cows came home.
But what else are we going to do, Mary? Like, are we going to be sitting here in 5 years' time talking about it again?
I think we need to have the courage of our convictions at this stage. I think we need to stamp down the door of university status, because the technological university at the end of the day is not going to deliver the equality that Waterford and the South East
But you
need.
can't just put the name university over the door and say we're now a university if you don't actually are a university.
That's what Ed Walsh was doing with Limerick Institute, with the NIHE, when he got university status. I personally would be the bold teenager in the room at this stage.
Bold teenager.
I would change.
I'd
change the name.
And you'd leave poor Thomas standing on the door. You'd slam the door in his face, and everybody in Carlow
is a fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. And Mary, you have to think of the
applied.
students as well, which is what the university is for. The university is for students. It's for them to get the degree, and what it is, it's an opportunity to have a university degree. TU status will increase funding to the university. And explore so many different opportunities to so many students, and we'll have a pull factor into the South East from different areas around the country, which will bring different students in, different money into Carlow, into Waterford. So there's so many opportunities.
Thomas,
what we have to remember, the
priority
of the technological university
if that's what you believe the technological university will do, good luck to you. I do not believe that the technological university will do that. There are how many students sitting the leaving certificate or sitting the grading system in the South East? Half of them by September will be gone. And in 10 years' time, if we have a technological university as is currently constituted, I believe half of them will still go, because they will still want the proper NUI university status. A name, as we have learned with UHW, Damien.
Yeah.
We have a university hospital up there. What's different? Has it maybe done a name change, and UCC's name branding on our hospital?
Well, I don't know how we're going to get virtual.
What good is that to us?
I don't know how we're going to get virtual hugs between Carlow and Waterford this morning. Thomas, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Damien.
Mary Roach, thank you very much for joining us. Take care.
Thanks, Damien.
Thank you very much. Mary Roach there, and Thomas Drury, Waterford and Carlow. What do you think? Let us know, please. Richard has texted in. Waterford City University was barely an election issue 8 weeks or so ago. How out of sync with local economic development needs were our TDs then? This is the biggest election issue for our city and county for generations to come. It was first mooted in 0405, and 16 years later, 16 years, we're further away now than ever. Oh dear. Can you please wish my mum and dad, Ned and Pauline O'Sullivan, 55 years married today, a very, very happy anniversary from all the family. Sweet 16 if you could play it later. We're talking about Sports Persons of the Year. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow. And other people talking about Carlow. And can you please ask, as the voice of Waterford, why some ministers are not treating our city as well as they should as other cities, for example, Limerick and Cork. We have to develop that. Good morning. Another plan for creches, children aged 6 to be put in pods and stay apart. I can't see that being a success. Also, carers not to wear masks. I thought the advice was to wear masks in enclosed spaces. Good morning. Mary Roach is spot on. Another person, as a parent of a WIT student, Mary is 100% correct. Let us know what you think, folks. 083 3333 975. Now, welcome back to our Dungarvan studios. Is a technological university better than no university at all? That's, I suppose, the question, because, like Rob Cass has texted in saying, only a fully funded university is the option on the table. A tech uni has no access to funding. Well, then why is IT Carlow, and why is Cork IT, and why are the ones in Dublin looking at pushing this? Another texter, good morning, says Billy. We want the university in Waterford. Damien shouldn't be worrying about poor Carlow. Leave Carlow to worry about itself. It's not worrying about Carlow. I'm not saying I'm in favour of one way or the other. I'm saying the only game in town, as far as the government and the higher education authorities have set out, is the technological university route. They've ruled out Waterford going as an individual university. So how are we going to get that back, particularly if we don't have a minister? How are we going to do it? Sharon has texted in, Mary's right, we should accept nothing less. Another person is saying, Mary didn't really put her argument properly, says Sean. Another person saying, Mary's right, we shouldn't settle for second best. It really is a tough one, but if we're going to continue talking and arguing and doing all this sort of stuff, we're going to be here in 5 years' time. Please God, if we're all here then, and going to be talking about the same thing. I don't know. Now, Dungarvan is beginning to open up for business. Just before the programme started, I took a little walk with Jenny Beresford, CEO of Dungarvan and West Waterford Chamber, around the wonderful Grattan Square. Here's the little report, and it's gorgeous here today. If you are around Dungarvan, social distance, of course, this interview was done properly with social distance, and just a flavour of the businesses that are beginning to reopen and what is still closed. A little bit breezy here this morning, Jenny.
Breezy,
the lads
but
are setting
beautiful.
up. Who are you saying hello to there?
Brian from Nutrilicious Food Company.
How are you, Brian? Come here for a second. Are you well? It's a lovely, lovely day this morning.
So far, so good.
Brian, the farmers market, you're back.
We are, thank God.
And is this the first day or was it last week?
No, we were here last week again. Very busy last week, so hopefully again we'll do the same this week. The weather helps an awful lot too.
When you say very busy last week, what did that mean, like in terms of sales compared to other times?
Well, there was nobody out for the last couple of months, so people were just glad to get out and just buying for the sake of it, which was fairly good. So hopefully we'll do the same again this week. Well, there wasn't a huge crowd around, if you know what I mean, because we do kind of a lot of online ordering as well, so people would actually ring up prior to it and have stuff put away, so they're here and they're gone within 30 seconds.
Come back to you later.
Thank you very much.
Said actually, Brian and his wife Yvonne have a very agile business model anyway, that they were able to adapt very quickly to this. So they were able to go and do deliveries of their food, and because they're not, a static retail outlet, they had that mobility. That they were enabled to do that straight away. So a lot of people didn't actually have to do without their weekly portions of Nutrilicious food.
Looking here, and it's a little bit of activity, and it's great to see. Obviously, Grattan Square, the commercial heart of Dungarvan. It's never seen anything like this the last 10 weeks.
God, no, for sure. It's completely unprecedented. That's an overused word, but I think that, you come by some days and you think, all right, this is a bit of a novelty, and then the more often that you're coming by when the square is empty, it's very worrying. There's been some evenings I've left the office very late and I've gone up the quay and through up by the bridge, looked into Garvey's car park. There isn't a car in there. There's no cars on the quay. It's more deathly quiet than it would be on a Christmas night, and that's really, really difficult to try and comprehend. How are we going to come back from this, and what are the impacts that this is actually having? I think people have been fantastic so far. They've been very understanding. Everybody's adapted very well, but it's more in 3 months' time that I'm worried for because I think that at that stage it's like there's a cycle of grief going on here as well, and I think that we haven't seen the anger or the frustration or any of that yet, and so that's going to be more to the fore in a few months' time. I also think that there'll be a lot of perhaps resentment out there about what did happen during COVID and what could have happened, and if things worked different ways. There'll be huge amounts of analysis, and I just fear that because people will be perhaps in a very desperate state financially, or others will still be trying to work through what are they going to do with children because there are no childcare facilities open and granny can't mind the children, and how can they get back to work? There'll be workplaces who have jobs but who can't give them to people. Any bit of cash that has been put aside in businesses will most certainly have been used, because the investment that this is costing to make businesses ready for reopening is massive. There is a restart grant available for, we'll say, rate-paying businesses, and that's a great help, but it still will not cover the shadow of the cost of the refurb, perhaps in some places, or just the changes that are necessary.
Let's walk and talk, and we're walking past the Bank of Ireland here, which obviously has been closed. So that's another sign. Bank's been closed.
No, that bank is open actually, Damien. Yeah, we're happy.
Has it been open all the way through?
Yes, it has. Yeah, now they've obviously implemented social distancing immediately, so there's been no issue with that at all. Yeah, so that's very good, because I think once banks and post offices close, then you may as well forget about the necessity to come to town sometime.
So Dan Fraher, 1852 to 1929, scholar and sportsman, lived here. Fraher Field named after him. We're passing by some clothing stores, and this is Willow and Oak, and obviously some restaurants and pubs. Walk down past Paddy Foley's, down past the local. There is talk of changes with the public realm and trying to help businesses like this going forward. Nagel's Bar here as well. What do you think of this idea of making Grattan Square more accessible to pedestrians?
I think that this needs to be viewed as not necessarily to help specifically publicans and restaurants. I think that this is a movement that people want, that there's an outdoor culture built here in any case, and there's a desire for development of that. Also, our culture shifted, Damien, smarter travel. People are more willing to walk and cycle than they ever have before. We've got wide footpaths. It can accommodate street furniture as it is. But you have to look at desire, and I'm talking like global, obviously, but certainly around Ireland, there is a desire to utilise our outdoor space an awful lot more and make the public realm more attractive. And I think it should be explored in Dungarvan more. We have a wonderful opportunity to start discussions about it, but it's not specifically for one sector. It's actually to encourage more people back in to socialise and to use our civic space so that it's for all of us. It's not for one particular sector.
Well, let's say, for example, if you took half or a third of Grattan Square and turned it into a cafe culture, as you say, not just cafes, but if you took it into that amenity space, would that be something even to look at as a possibility?
It could be, with stakeholder involvement. I'm not saying yay or nay right now, because I think that there's an awful lot of discussion, but I just think that this has certainly been a catalyst for that discussion. Interestingly, the council said yesterday, and that's Finn Brophy in the council who said yesterday, that Main Street will have to lose its parking to cope with the restrictions from COVID, the way the regulations are set out at the moment. So that will be no parking on that street. In any case, it doesn't matter if there's a chair or a table, but why not put a few chairs and tables down there? Why not put a few flowers and flower beds down there? So that's what I'm saying. It's about exploring, but it's about having like a proper discussion and including all the stakeholders. And the stakeholders aren't necessarily just just the businesses from the square. They're everybody who uses it, and we need to find out how they use it, why they use it, and what their reason is for coming in.
And we'll walk and talk a bit more, passing by Ladbrokes. Again, the sign on it, it says closed until March 29th. That's a long time ago. Bookies are still closed.
They're always optimists though, aren't they?
The betting is when they're going to reopen. Ormond's Cafe, we've got the Gourmet House as well. Barber shops, again another area that has been badly hit, and we don't know what's going to happen there. Helen and Trina, please stay safe, closed until further notice. Newsagents, pharmacies, again one of the areas that have done a lot of good work and a lot of massive work, but again are suffering as well. We heard from pharmacies that a lot of people aren't going in, obviously, buying makeup and things like that and moisturisers. So their profits are down. Some talk of pharmacies being in trouble in the future.
Oh, for sure. The disposable. The disposable journey that you would have had in a pharmacy is not there anymore. It's very functional what you do now. And so I completely see that their retail offering has been completely decimated. And so we've got to consider them in the lines of retail also. Now, some of them do have apps and some of them have utilised online platforms and that. But still, they certainly have been hit very, very hard. And so it's important that we're aware of the needs of all types of businesses.
Gift shops here, obviously tourism is going to be decimated this year. We look around, there's James's men's shop, there's the credit union down there. We'll come up here past the takeaways, Roma takeaways. Obviously some takeaways have been doing fairly well.
They have, and Damien, our food offering here is amazing, and it always was beforehand. But when you can have the likes of, we'll say, real Italian Roma Genoas, and also then right through to award-winning Indian Ocean, Moorings, Tannery, 360's opening this weekend, the Old Bank. Like, we are spoilt, and we can get takeaway from all those places. Two Sisters, another one we're looking at. The Shamrock, what everybody's been missing, is opening this weekend.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So so we've been spoilt, and we continue to be spoilt, and it's wonderful that people are able to, that they've adapted and that they're able to offer their goods and services to loyal customers. Fantastic.
There's Rossiter's Butchers. I know a lot of loyal customers in there. Again, keeping going. More hairdressers, Williams Ladies and Gents Clothes, the Square Grill, takeaways, the Enterprise Bar, obviously. It's a beautiful square. It really is there's a lovely, lovely feeling here to it.
There's always been, there's a great energy here, and it's a wonderful social space. It's a place that you could potter around or walk slowly, and you're sure to engage in an awful lot of conversations if you want to. So for that purpose, the square is multifunctional. It's not just for retail, it's not just for service, it's actually quite social as well, and so we're absolutely so lucky to have that as a starting point. And also just the public realm here is very attractive as it is, and to be considering that we can actually up our game here as regards public realm and presentation is another opportunity for us to take.
What is Dungarvan West Waterford Chamber going to be looking for from government in the next 6 months?
More support for businesses in the likes of the Restart Grant, the Continuity Voucher, so continued supports of that nature. But because nobody knows when the end of this is or where the end of this is, it's very difficult to be specific so early in your ask. So I think it's that the government be open-minded. A waiver of rates would be a no-brainer immediately. I really think that tourism businesses need an awful lot of help, and the continuity of the wage subsidy scheme as well would be really important to try and help those businesses re-establish, that people can come back from being, we'll say, unemployed to the wage subsidy scheme would be really important to try and get people restarted again.
So we're back at the corner here with the front of the Bank of Ireland. The market setting up, flowers, there'll be fish, there'll be fruit, it's sunny.
There'll be crepes, there'll be blaz, be fabulous. Yeah, it's the ultimate space, it's the ultimate day to be here. It's a sunny day, it's beautiful, and like I said, it's social as well. So and Dungarvan is just a lovely place to potter around. The geography of it, that you can actually just continue a loop and come back to the same place. So you can be aimless here and enjoy it.
Jenny, thank you very much.
Welcome, pleasure.
Aimless and enjoy it. Jenny Beresford there, and we want to wish everybody that's involved in any form of business in Waterford, Dungarvan, West Waterford, the very best this week, this month, as things reopen, however slowly and obviously however carefully. Stay safe, folks. Please, please, please stay safe. Now, in a minute, I'm going to be talking to Cam Little about the Pride of the Deise. Firstly, a lot of Deise people texting in this morning. Could you please thank the teenagers that were on the green in Hillview yesterday? I gave them a bin bag and they all put their rubbish into it, and that's all it takes. Thank you very much. Regarding a university for Waterford, as the song goes, I hear you knocking, but you can't come in. Good morning. The existing universities have a request for 500 million extra funding. Good luck to any new universities in trying to add to that. The climate has now changed, and the theory for a technological university seems to be out of date and unrealistic. And then a proud city slicker says, Mary, I'm behind you on this. We're the oldest city in the country, but the most ignored city. you can be sure the TUI, or some members of the TUI, are stopping this. Now, if there's any TUI members, please get in touch with us. We want to hear you. We want to hear our TUI members involved, not just in Waterford but in Carlow, that are in some way looking for more guarantees on this. Well done to the hero firemen who saved the whole ecosystem from fire last night out around the Sawleens. Well done, everybody concerned. Norma Keneally says, my late father-in-law Patrick Keneally was on the University for Waterford committee in 1998, 22 years ago. We were delighted then, thinking that our children would be able to go to college in Waterford. They're now both finished college in UCC. Cam Little, good morning, Cam.
Good morning, Damien. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. I'm great, sure. Why wouldn't one be great on a wonderful sunny day like today? It's gorgeous, isn't it?
It is a beautiful sunny day. I think it's going to be a beautiful weekend, and I would have really loved if we could have brought a festival into the streets of Waterford this weekend, but we've gone online instead.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say regarding the weather. It would just have been a fabulous, fabulous weekend for out and about and the Pride of the Deise organising committee. You've done a really good supplement with the News and Star, and the Munster has bits and pieces as well about what's happening this weekend. Just explain to our listeners first, please, what is the Pride of the Deise?
So Pride of the Deise, we're a community-based organisation, and what we would like to do is we had aimed to bring a Pride to Waterford City Centre this weekend. But again, as I said, instead it's going to be going online. So we have kind of a lot of events planned for over the weekend. We've interviews, we've yoga, we've a big Pride extravaganza and DJs. We even have a full day that's entirely programmed by young people from Waterford as well. And that'll be taking place on the Sunday.
OK, and everything has had to be moved from obviously outdoors and any kind of activities like that to online. So this is a really difficult thing to do, and it obviously limits your scope for that. And for those involved in gay, lesbian activities, those involved in transgender and all different types of, I suppose, expressions of one's self, it's very important that that space still exists online to gather and, I suppose, to celebrate and to be together.
Absolutely, and that was one of the main challenges that we had, and I feel that we've met it. I'm really impressed with all the work that people have done to help us do that, to ensure that there was still a space and a platform for our community to be able to express themselves and to share kind of who they are and what they're about, and have that safety to put themselves forward in Waterford.
So if anybody wants to go online and different events, where do they go and how do they find out the list of things that are on over the weekend?
So our website is prideofthedeisha.ie. We're on Facebook and Twitter at Deisha Pride, and we're on Instagram at Pride of the Deisha. And
give me a few of the highlights that you have for the weekend, please, Cam.
So, well, we're going to be kicking off tomorrow with an event that's quite close to my own heart because I put a lot of work into it. But at 2 o'clock, it's Scale, and that's interviews with people from the LGBT community. So again, just kicking off the festival with that community and making sure that it's the people who are first and foremost. We'll also have a film night from 8 o'clock then tomorrow. Saturday we have a Pride extravaganza, so that's going to be an online Pride parade, and we have live DJs, accumulation actually in a live set from Simone. And then Sunday would be our youth takeover. And that's all by young people and for young people. So if anybody was particularly interested in that, I would say to contact the youth worker Debbie at Chillout. So that's at Chillout on Facebook or Instagram.
Super. Cam, thanks so much, and well done to you and all the organising committee.
No problem. Thank you very much for having us on.
Not at all. Pleasure. Thanks very much. Cam Little there, chairperson of the organising committee of the Pride of the Deisha. And you've heard all the details about if you want to access that. Everybody be very careful at the weekend. I know the incentive is going to be going beyond the 5 kilometre limit. I inadvertently said Monday is when it's been extended to 20k. Monday week is what I should have said. So it's 20k on Monday week. This weekend, Irish Water Safety, we're probably going to be talking to some of them tomorrow about safety procedures, because there will be a lot of people looking at getting out and about and hitting the water, and just be very, very careful over the weekend. We've heard of tragedies and near tragedies already, so please be careful. Paul has texted in 083 3333 975. If the forced merger between Waterford and Carlow is pushed through, where will the headquarters be? Surely somebody can answer that question. Damien, can you get Mary Butler on live and ask her about the university and many other matters? We are Forgotten City. Yes, we've just answered your call. Mary's going to be talking to us after 11 o'clock. And TV Honan has texted in, Jenny Beresford is a fantastic salesperson for Dungarvan. That was a smashing item. TV, thank you very much. And it really is beautiful in Dungarvan anytime, but today it is exceptionally beautiful. Stay with us. We're going to be talking about Brazil nuts next. Now, welcome back. Brazil nuts. 4 arrested as suspected Brazilian murder squad is caught with firearms. I'm going to be talking to Michael O'Toole from the Star newspaper. Let's just play a little bit of this video, the little bit of the WhatsApp that was recorded of the raid.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Jeez. Hands behind your back. Oh my God. Good morning. Are you there, Michael?
Hello, Damien.
How are you doing, Michael? The lines... Yeah, that seems better, all right, yeah. Michael, talk to me. Brazil nuts.
It's one of the most bizarre stories I've covered in a long time, Damien. Essentially, as you say, and I'm actually glad that you played that video because I think it shows the reality of policing. It's the emergency response unit, the Garda SWAT team, and when they go in, they have to go in with overwhelming force and want to subdue the subjects because very often, like yesterday, they're coming up against people with machine guns and other firearms. And one of the things they do is they scream and they roar to disorientate people. So that may have come across as quite aggressive, but it's really textbook operation. You overwhelm the opposition physically and mentally and verbally and everything. So I thought that was quite a good indication of what happened. Essentially what happened, Gardaí had been aware that there had been problems between two small-time drugs gangs in Offaly in the last few while. It started off with over a €100 drugs debt, bizarrely, and we had seen various incidents, fights and that sort of thing, but it really escalated quite dramatically over the last few days, and Gardaí had intelligence that there was going to be a pretty spectacular hit planned. Now, what day is this? This is Thursday. On Tuesday evening, they got last-minute intelligence that there was going to be a hit, and they ran a protection of life operation, and it's a real scramble. It's when you have evidence or intelligence that a hit or an attack is imminent. So they had to really scramble. They're based in Harcourt Square in Dublin, so they're obviously following this gang, and they intercepted them in Clara, just north. It's about 10 minutes north.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That was where the target lived. Now, the plan was to shoot up a house. They had a shotgun and they had a MAC-10. Now, the MAC-10 is a very old American pistol, probably from the 1950s and 60s, but it's deadly and it fires up to 1,000 rounds a minute. So it was going to be a spray job on a house. So you imagine if you're sitting in a house and somebody fires a whole clip of a MAC-10 machine pistol at your house, it would be fatal. So I think this is an excellent policing operation that took these two firearms off the street.
And let me just I'll just double check this line here again, Michael. Some problems with the line. We're okay there. We'll go for another few minutes. This is bizarre, as you say, one of the most bizarre stories that you've covered in a long while. So these are 4 Brazilian nationals. They're suspected of being part of a murder squad. And we're talking about being hired possibly by a traveller gang, we're not sure, by others, and it started over a small drugs debt of 70 or €100. What else do we know about sort of the ins and outs of this? Where are the Brazilians living?
They're from, they've been in Ireland for quite some time. One of them, I believe, has lived in Ireland for up to 7 years. They would be from the Dublin area. They would be known as, at least some of them are known to Gardaí, but they're not major players. They're not, gangsters, as you and I might call them. They're just low-level criminals. So it was obviously quite a disorganised plot because there wasn't any real planning into this. It was, as you say, 2 low-level drugs gangs. There have been fistfights, and somebody decided to escalate it by shooting up the house. So it's quite bizarre, really.
It really is very bizarre. What's happening next? There 4 men were arrested, a number of firearms were recovered. Are we looking at possibly an escalation of something, even if this particular squad hasn't done its business, done its horrible, horrible deeds? Are we looking at escalations of feuds in certain areas? What do you think in terms of COVID, in terms of drugs? What's your feeling about it, Michael?
Well, there's always tensions within drugs gangs, and I suppose every action has a reaction. So perhaps the other side will try to escalate it, but I fail to see how you can make it worse than going after somebody with a machine gun. So to ratchet that up would be another step. Look, this would be an ongoing feud. Obviously, the other side won't take too kindly to this, so I'm sure there will be a reaction to it.
Michael O'Toole, we'll let you go. Listen, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, okay?
No problem.
Thank you very much. And apologies for the phone line there. We had it good at the start, and for some reason it may have just deteriorated in the middle of it. So as we said, 4 arrested as suspected Brazilian murder squad caught with firearms. Really bizarre stuff. It's understood that the arrested men are aged in their 20s and 40s, have addresses in Dublin and County Longford and other Midlands locations. So we'll watch that with interest. Keep your texts and your comments coming in. 083 3333 975. Good morning. Why can't we get fresh fish here? It's all frozen fish. Some fresh fish in Waterford City and Dunmore Road. But I've tried many fish shops and want to get more fresh fish. Well, I can tell you this morning in Dungarvan, I was just passing by the fish stall at the market and there's fresh fish there, as you heard on the programme. Could you ask Mary Butler about the Garda investigation into the special media account being hacked? We certainly will. We got a text in, an interesting one, and it just brings up the whole idea of being careful at the weekend. Frankie texted in to say he was just back for a walk. This was yesterday afternoon with his wife. They went out to Bilbury, down as far as the old Red Iron Bridge. There were people walking across the bridge, some even sitting down on one of the pillars in the middle section. I'm not the better of it. It nearly gave me a heart attack. And Frankie says the current in the middle section of the river is very, very strong. And if somebody lost their balance there, they would be a goner. It's very difficult. I lost a friend of mine there 50 years ago, and it never left me. Person couldn't swim at the time. So it's very careful. That's the old Red Iron Bridge. We know Jim Nolan did a marvellous play about it recently. But if you're out there, please be very, very careful. That is dangerous because, as Frankie says, and as the river rescue teams will say to you, it is extremely strong, the current out at that middle section. We've been listening to Lola Sullivan on the news as well, talking about water safety, and particularly this weekend coming when it's going to be so warm and the bank holiday weekend. We also want to know, finally please, your comments regarding the hero, the sports hero. We're going to have a big discussion about the final list of 20. That'll be on the programme tomorrow, and this is all part of our deal with the wonderful Flahavans, and we're going to be looking for votes starting from Saturday. So if you have any people that you want to text in who want to be in there as part of the Waterford Sporting Hero list, please text us in 083 3333 975, text or WhatsApp.